Welcome food fans, picky eaters, the flavor curious, and everyone in between. Nothing makes good food better than good conversation, and your table is ready. Welcome back to another episode of the Food For ThoughtCast with your hosts, Melissa Reagan and Steven Gonzalez, but you can call them Chef. All right, let's get this episode started.
Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food For ThoughtCast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and my co-host with the most, Chef Steven Gonzalez. What's up, buddy?
Greetings.
Greetings.
Okay.
What's going on?
Oh, just, having fun, hanging out, enjoying a beer.
Enjoying a beer. I like it. I had my beer in the daytime today, like you do. Coors, huh? Okay.
Water. So hey, I'm having a water, really.
We listen and we don't judge. That's okay. I like Coors. I've had some in my time. I have a sugar-free ginger ale here in the L cup.
Nice.
Shut up. All right. What's up, buddy? So tell me what you've been up to. What's been happening in your kitchen?
At home, there's just been a bunch of random fun going on. I'm trying to meal prep, but I have been not motivated at all. Now that doesn't mean I'm just eating junk, I promise. But I'm gonna beat you to the question of what's the most amazing thing I had to eat.
Okay then.
Because last week it was in the 20s, in the teens, and then it shot up to 84 degrees out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's how you get a cold.
Yeah, no kidding. So the day before it shot up, I decided to make seafood albondigas or meatballs, and they came out really, really good. So it was like shrimp, crab with a K, ground salmon, and clams, and they came out very delicious, very hearty, and they did not suck. Yeah. The best part is I didn't even have to really season them because the clams were salty enough as it was. And, it was just good. So
nice.
It worked out.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I have to give you a little bit of a shout out because also that sounds incredible. I've never had albondigas that wasn't pork. So that's extremely interesting to me. Or like pork and beef.
You can make albondigas out of anything.
Albondigas,
chicken albondigas, beef albondigas, venison albondigas. Now I messed up. Albondigas. Well, yeah, I actually learned how to do shrimp albondigas from the get-go, and so I figured I'm in the mood for seafood. I haven't had shrimp in quite some time, but let's combine it.
Okay, so when you say the word albondigas, is that the actual meatballs themselves, or is it the soup dish with the meatballs in it, or does it mean both?
I've always assumed it was the soup dish with the meatballs. That's what I've always you cook them in the broth and all that, and
yeah. No, I'm just wondering because I worked at this Spanish restaurant for maybe a whole year of my life, and they had albondigas, but it was like a tapas. And it was slightly different. It had sherry in the sauce. It had ground up almond, but I think that it was just the meatballs themselves, the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
anyway, I was just curious.
I finally posted it today.
I saw it
step by step. So I'm waiting for people to be like, "That's not albondigas.
That's not how my grandma made it.
You're just a cook. You suck." I'm expecting that.
Yeah.
But I used to be very PC, with responses. I still am, but like if people are like, "Oh, you suck," this and that, I'm like, "Well, you don't have to watch. You can
just tell them they get what they pay for, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't pay anything." Exactly.
You can F right off.
You need to go mind that business that pays, son. Way over there. So yeah. So I had something pretty tasty this week. I went to this little spot next door to where I work. It's called Village Tavern, and slowly making my way through their very expansive menu. It is like the size of an Olive Garden, not Olive Garden, who am I thinking of? Cheesecake Factory novel.
Ooh.
It's like a novella to food.
Gasps in Spanish over there.
I weigh. Yeah, but no, they have a really big menu, but they do most everything from scratch, and I can appreciate it. So what I usually have is the tuna tartare. It is fantastic. They're using like an A1 tuna, and it has really fresh avocado and cucumber, wonton strips, and just a very simple like ponzu. Really tasty. And I always order jalapenos to go on it, or like a side of jalapenos, so I can have like a jalapeno slice on every bite. But it was cold, and I wanted something hot. So I got their house pimento cheeseburger with bacon, because pimento cheese, being what it is here in the North Kakalaka, is very, very popular. And so it did not disappoint. It was really tasty. But what I really appreciated was the bun was nice and hot, and it was toasted with butter. It was really delicious. Yeah. The fries were really good too. So I was not disappointed by this. And then, I have to give you a little bit of a shout out before we get way too off track, because our past guest and hopefully future guest, Jonathan Heil, and friend and listener of the show, he did some sirloin steak cubes in the air fryer and was not disappointed. Ooh. So he said they turned out really good.
Sirloin of steak. My favorite.
And I've been on this kick where I buy a bag pre-made salad and add homemade meat to it, just because it's easy. And I had a Cajun Caesar the other day that was really tasty. It just had, Cajun season. I mean, it wasn't anything mind-blowing, but it had some fun seasoned croutons that came with it. And I like to crush the croutons up into powder, so you get like little crispy bites in like every bite of the salad, And I tossed to the dressing that came in. It was like basically a crap load of black pepper and blackening seasoning like that, because that's what people think that Cajun is, in like a creamy Caesar dressing. But I actually did some burger like some taco seasoning, basically burger patties. Right. With garlic and cheese in them in the air fryer, and I had like a burger patty on top of the salad, and it was freaking awesome.
Nice.
Heck yeah, considering the type of hours I've been keeping lately, it felt damn near gourmet. And so, but I bought some sirloin steak today in honor of you, and I'm going to cut it up in cubes in honor of Jonathan. And so nice. I'm gonna put it in the air fryer. I'm gonna marinate them and freeze them in individual portions. So I have like 4 different flavors, and I put it in the air fryer. One of them is gonna be like a Korean barbecue sauce, because that's what I bought for other meal prep, and the others I think will just be Finch barbecue. Which, by the way, congrats to our friends at Finch Barbecue, Chris and Wendy. They just opened up their food truck, and they're crushing it. So yeah, it's exciting times.
Sweet.
Yeah, exciting times.
Before we talk about their brick and mortar and their second location and the third location, it's only a matter of time.
It's amazing. I'm so happy for them and so proud of them. I got asked that age-old question today. You ever get asked this, Steve?
Huh?
Oh, you're a chef? What do you like to cook at work?
I've been asked that a million times, just not at work.
Mm-hmm.
Just, what do you like to cook?
Sure. What's your favorite thing to cook? But a woman who knew nothing about what I do for a living today, a really sweet neighbor who I talk to when I'm walking the dogs, invited me over for coffee, and I took her up on it.
Oh yeah.
And just a really, really neat lady. She put a little spread out. She wouldn't let me bring anything over, which made me feel bad as a Southerner, but it's okay. Yeah, she was like, what do you cook at work? I was like, I don't cook at work. I was like, that's adorable. I don't do that.
I'm busy running.
What do What do you say? Yeah, it's like, what do you say when people ask you that, Steve?
Well, again, they don't ask me what my favorite thing to cook at work is,
Mm,
but they always ask me what my favorite thing to cook is. So I just say
sure.
the best thing I make is Caesar dressing from scratch.
Mm,
Best thing, hands down.
mm.
You know,
But is it your favorite?
is it my favorite? It's pretty damn good, so it could be. You know, I don't know.
So,
Good question.
so today's episode, we're just going to have like a little bit of a chef chat, if you will. So for everybody out there listening, and if you usually tune in for a lot of food content, don't worry, it didn't go anywhere, but we've just brought you all these amazing guests and we're going to bring it back to ourselves for tonight. So Steve, I want to ask you, like, do you think culinary school is realistic?
I think it lays down a good foundation for a career. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you're better than anyone. It doesn't
Do
mean
you,
that you're worse than anyone.
do you think it's necessary?
I don't think it's necessary. I
Yeah.
think it helps though.
Yeah.
It really does. What about you?
I agree. I think it, and I get asked this question a lot. Somebody will be like, my nephew wants to be a chef. Should he go to school? And I'm like, I don't know. Really just depends on what he wants to do and where he wants to work. And I'm like, I might be one job behind where I am now if I hadn't gone to culinary school. But in my life, that would be a massive, huge deal. I've been with my current gig for nearly 4 years. And if I was one job behind that, it wouldn't be where I am today. You know, if any little thing changed, not to get all like butterfly effect and whatever, right? But I tell people that what you put into culinary school is what you get out of it. But my career was not what I thought it would be when I dreamt of going to culinary school. Not for bad reason. They just aren't the same.
Yeah.
The foundation of knowledge is there, but this kind of idea of coming in to work a teeny tiny little station that's immaculately kept and having all the time in the day to tinker around with a sauce and all the things are pre-prepped for you without the added actual realities of running a staff and supporting a team is just not, those things didn't match up. You know what I mean? Like,
right. I went into it thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna go be super successful, blah blah blah. And I mean, I was on the path to, the right path to be successful, and I got burnt out, and I left the restaurant industry for a good little bit, and I value every moment that I had there. There were some heartaches, there was some good times, and I found I'm still in line with food, where I'm grocery retail now, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I would say that you're still in the food industry. You know what I mean? It's still all part of the hospitality industry, I think. And
yeah, it's honestly, it's very flattering, because when I came out to West Texas, doing what I was doing, selling stuff, selling recipes, selling ideas and things like that at work, like I got a lot of friends who are in restaurants, and they still try to include me with like food competitions and stuff like that. And
yeah,
I love that. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't have an establishment to promote, like,
yeah.
So you all go, I will support you. I will go judge. I'll go have fun.
Yeah.
But,
well, I think
you out of my own kitchen. So
I think nothing, will change the fact that you're a chef though. Right. Like it's what you are as much as it's what you do or what you did. But I think it's interesting because people go to school expecting a certain amount of fame out of it. And I'm not going to say that that's not, we were certainly sold that on a level, right? But, and I'm also not going to sit here and be like, culinary school was a lie. Like, no, I mean, I got out of it exactly what I put into it. Yep. Probably the same amount of effort I put into high school, which got me the diploma, and that was the important part, right? So
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
in high school, I was a scared kid in culinary school, and then I grew into the world.
The important parts of my degree were like, learning the accountability, the kind of respect, and really developing the determination to do what I felt like I've needed to do for my career thus far, and the math. I got the math too. It's like, okay, I know how to calculate food cost, right? Yeah. So Yeah.
Fun times.
Fun times.
Yeah.
So,
I don't
but
know.
yeah.
Do you miss culinary school? I know I do.
I don't at all.
All we did was screw around and have fun.
I don't at all. The kind of the stages of life where I wouldn't say like I don't have a great deal of certainty now, but I have a career and I didn't then. And so I don't miss that in between. The in between spaces of life are some of the most uncomfortable, and I think they're necessary for growth, but I would never plunge myself back into that world, you know?
Yeah, most definitely.
I think like the feeling that I have any control over my life now is also a complete illusion, but I had way less control over it then when I was just a wee, college student.
18-year-old punk.
Sure. Absolutely. You guys, I was so intrigued. Steve sent me this private chat on StreamYard just now, and I was like, ooh, maybe my microphone's not working. That's completely irrelevant. I mean, to what's happening right now.
Right.
I was like, oh God, let me open this. No.
Oh, yeah.
Everything Steve sends is relevant. But I, for a moment, was like, oh God, there's sound issues. And he's trying to tell me.
I was scrolling there for a second. I was like, don't let me forget. It's a chance to see my friend Melissa.
Hey.
In person.
In the person. Do you think
that is Melissa?
Do you think that work-life balance is possible as a chef?
I think the higher you move up, the more you have to adjust your life to it. Like the more I moved up, my hours are more evenings and nights, and it's fine. Like anytime I had a relationship, like they understood like what I did for a living. And when I had days off, like I didn't really want to do anything, but I would cook for them, and we'd still have fun and all that. But for me, there was no set days off. There was no weekends, or there was hardly any weekends. And so the work-life balance doesn't really ever end, especially the more you move up, because you're still dealing with vendors, you're still dealing with stuff happening at work, and someone asking questions, like, and you have to give those answers. I'm not saying that it's not attainable, but you have to train yourself to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And to anybody who's watching us on YouTube, I'm not yawning because it's boring. I'm yawning because it's the first time I sat down all day, even though I didn't work today. But I've been like doing all the honeydews, but I'm the honey, and then I do all the things.
You're the honey and the dew.
And then the honey and the doer. I'm the honey doer. I think that it's really interesting, right? It depends on how much responsibility you have. Now, yesterday I had a day off, and I was able to I turned my phone off for like a full 3 hours and went to disconnect. And when I turned it back on, I had like 57 text messages and like 8 missed calls, and something had definitely gone awry. But instead of being upset about it, I was like, well, this could have happened if I was in the building. This could have happened if it wasn't, if I wasn't just trying to go see a dang movie. By the way, Captain America, the Brave New World sucks. Sorry, you heard it here first.
Mackie?
Yeah.
I love Anthony Mackie.
I like him. The movie was awful. It was a waste of my time. I wish I'd gone to see something else. But at any rate, we're not a movie podcast. But yeah.
Just do what I do. Just go to a movie and fall asleep. It's a great deal. You get snacks, you have a comfy chair, you're cold, and there's loud noises going on. It's a wonderful feeling.
I had garbage nachos with plastic cheese. Yay, Ricos.
Yes.
The theater was empty. The entire theater was empty, except for the person who sold me the nachos, which was kind of creepy. Like, I don't particularly enjoy seeing a movie alone. I just kept looking over my shoulder, especially with the surround sound. I was like, the rustling of the leaves sounds like a serial killer 5 seats down. I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, it couldn't hold my attention, and I did fall asleep for a little while. But anyway, all that to say, I think the more you move up, you realize that it's a work-life harmony. Like it's a give and take. Sometimes there's going to be seasons of your life where it's all you do, no matter if you're in the business that you're in or you're in the business that I'm in. And there's going to be seasons of life where the scale tips the other direction, and you have a little more time to yourself. And I think you have to create those opportunities, though. You know what I mean? You have to set boundaries and figure out what you can delegate, and it's extremely stressful, like to know when to give something away and then when to pull the reins back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think it's definitely attainable. You just have to, setting boundaries. That's the biggest one.
Did you ever think it was going to be like what you saw on TV, like when you were in culinary school?
I had no clue what to imagine, think, do when I was, because all I thought about was the present and the now. I never thought about the future. I always thought like, well, right now I need to focus on passing classes, and this is what's going on in my life with my family immediately, and things like that. And of course I was an 18-year-old kid living in Austin by myself, so of course I was thinking like, okay, what friends can buy me alcohol and this and that, or but at the same time I was also kind of a slave to my apartment because I was too scared to go do stuff. And when I would go do stuff, like I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go home now. I've always been a homebody, to be honest. Like I like to go out and have fun, but I've always been a homebody more than anything else. So I didn't mind that year that I was hanging out in my apartment.
I go through phases, but I think on some level I thought it was going to be just like what I had seen up until then, which was like very much the main ingredient with Bobby Flay or like the Iron Chef shows. I just thought it's going to be this, when you put this uniform on, it's like a Superman costume. You're like a superhero, which is not all the way untrue, right? Like, when I walk through a dining room with that on, it is kind of that way. There's a certain amount of like, you feel special. It's when you hit that 14th hour and you're, shoveling debris out of the bottom of a deep fryer because 3 dudes called out, where you're like, this feels slightly less special, and they didn't show this on those cooking shows. You know what I mean? So obviously, if everybody out there can't tell, like Steve and I have lived some things. And so Steve, why don't you tell us, like, how do you deal with stress?
So there's a handful of different ways. Like when I was in my 20s in restaurants, I would deal with stress by going out and partying after work, having fun, till 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
So like blowing off steam.
Yeah, exactly. You go to the bars until 2, until they close down. And then afterwards you just go out and get food, and, you rinse and repeat. That's what I would do. I noticed though that there was a point where that was like my coping mechanism for anything that was like stressful. Like it would go to, oh, I need a drink. Oh, I need to just go get drunk. And now it's like, look back at myself, all these years later, thinking like, okay, I want to drink. I don't need to have one. If I'm stressed now, like I've just calmed down even more. Like I used to be a real hothead, and now I'm just so relaxed to a lot of stuff that I'm like, okay, well, let's talk it out. Let's figure this out.
Did you used to be super reactive like Gordon Ramsay?
Not as vulgar, but I would lose my cool sometimes. Like if food came back, like I'd be like, what the hell? Well, this is undercooked. Okay, well, I could see that. Yeah, let's get this fixed for him. And if it came back a second time, like, what's going on? Like, are these people really that picky? Or
what if it came back for like, let's say something that you didn't consider real, like a steak comes back and they go, this isn't medium rare, and you're like, it's a perfect medium rare. Like, what's that moment look like?
I've had that happen where someone ordered a medium rare and they sent it back to where so many times it went out medium well, almost well done. And they're like, this is perfect. It's like, okay, so clearly they don't know what they're talking about. In the moment, you're a little bit perturbed because you have orders coming in, you're trying to take care of that, and you have someone who doesn't really know what they're talking about, like throwing a wrench in your game, and you're like, damn, dude, come on. But I was fortunate enough to where like the restaurants that I worked in, one of them was a dinner restaurant. And it wasn't like it was about 180, anywhere between like 60 to 100 covers a night. So it's not like, you were in the weeds, you weren't like dying. But then I have worked in restaurants where like Mother's Day, you're doing at least 500, by yourself and stuff like that. And like some people are probably listening like, oh, that's nothing. But, if you have it prepped right, life is good. But if you don't,
then I mean, it takes so many things have to line up just right. Like I tell people, the stars have to align just right. Every single person has to get there on time. Every single person has to show up to work. You have to have had ordered the product 2 days before accurately with some sort of buffer on it, like at least 20% more than you thought you were going to need, or 25% more, or whatever. And then for that to happen, you have to look at the right numbers, right? And then for that to happen, you have to have gotten enough sleep to interpret that data. It's like every little thing is so interconnected, and all the pieces help move that along. And so, and I know on the flip side of that, there's a lot of people listening who go like, oh, I can never cook for 500 people. Well, it's not just you. You got a team.
Yeah, it's a team. Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a lot of support. But knowing how to kind of juggle all those pieces, it can be extremely stressful. And I used to do the same. I mean, I've gone out plenty over the years. I mean, we're talking about a span of like all the way back to 2004, 2005. But after a while, it becomes less satisfying, right? You go like, I don't particularly enjoy working while hungover, so I'm going to stop doing that.
But then you're like, but I also want to go out, and I'm just going to not get as drunk.
Yeah, I mean, and for some people, they never find the in between. It's either like it's like a very all or nothing, and there's a lot of that in our businesses. People that are medicating to cope with stress, and I think that there for a really long time was a huge stigma on getting help for mental health in our industry. It's like you're a pansy if you need. If you needed to talk to somebody, or if you get emotional, go outside and
smoke and come back and get back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Or go on the walk-in and punch something like a bag of French fries or something. I used to go take the ripest avocado I could find, and I would smash it up against the wall, and then like I was trying to strike out a batter. I did a sports, like I would rear back and I would take a few deep breaths and say a few choice words, and I would come out of the walk-in and I go, I don't know who was just in here, but you need to come clean this shit up. Like, like the ultimate like decoy behavior. I mean, just completely misplaced, like, my own crap, but couldn't filter it through anything useful or helpful. And didn't have a good way to cope. So it was just like, let's destroy a tiny piece of property like this avocado that did nothing to deserve this, and then blame it on somebody else, like that's been several years ago, but that was like my coping mechanism of choice for a while.
But I mean, like, and every now and then you get like that high off of, or that adrenaline from feeding a ton of people. You were prepped, you were good.
Absolutely.
And stuff like that. But like,
it's like a runner's high, like from a marathon.
Yeah. I mean, like I can remember a Mother's Day where, I did like 500 people. I had a handful of people, but it was like a crew of 3 that just banging out omelets, breakfast, pancakes, all sorts of stuff. And I think towards the end, I was finally starting to run out of fumes, and the executive sous chef at the time came and just helped me dropping potatoes and, nothing crazy. Yeah. Whereas I was, taking names and kicking ass. I sometimes wonder, like, what would have happened had you not been so prepped? Had you not, like, done all this work? And I wouldn't even want to think about it. Pass.
Well, it's almost like you can't even put yourself in that position, right? Like, it is not – our business is so forward-facing, and so every little moment, it's very much like you have to stay in the moment. Retrospect's not even worth it. If you can't learn the lessons in the moment, there's no sense in the reflection. It's like it's on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. By the time you figure out what was wrong with breakfast, it's already time for lunch, right?
Yep.
It's already time for dinner. Like there's not even a lot of time to like regroup, to be quite honest. You know, if anybody out there watches The Bear, you know, I don't work in that high stakes of an environment, but also realize like the show is like very dramatized, but it's not that far off in terms of like those types of restaurants with those high of standards are going to have stressful experiences like that. Now, every person on that show needs like therapy and a hug, but they need some sort of healthier coping mechanisms, and that's part of what the show is about. Spoilers if you've never watched it, but because you get to see every character's development. But it's interesting because all those little moments that the writers put in there that are nods to what happens in real life, like grabbing 3 bites of food that's been dead for 2 hours sitting in a window and shoving the rest of it into a to-go box only to eat it on your way home in the car, or like eating a couple of bites standing up over a trash can, or going the entire day and eating nothing, or going the entire day and being like, I didn't pee today. Oops. You know, like, not even time to dwell on it. You can't even feel sorry for yourself. You know what I mean?
And then you also have like the pressure that you put on yourself to make good food, because at the end of the day, you feel you are responsible for, making someone's day or getting them sick. Like I can tell you, I've had people tell me your food made me sick, and it's like the worst feeling in the world. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, no, there's no way. And you know, it's an awful feeling. And of course, you know, that's when you put that pressure on yourself. And you're like, well, fuck it. I mean, screw it. Let's go get drunk. Let's go, you know, let's go.
I'm not editing it out.
I mean, I've had those instances too, where I'm like, I made someone sick, and it's a horrible feeling. So you medicate on your own, and you know. Well,
it's like a lot closer that I get to 40 when a bad day rolls around. I just want to sleep. It's just a way to shut out. It's to shut out the world. You know, I want to cocoon like in a big blankie and binge watch something and sleep. I don't hardly have any fun vices left. But there was a stigma for a long time about like, you really didn't discuss mental health in kitchens, and stress was worn as this badge of honor that you weren't allowed to do anything to fix it, or it was a show of weakness. You know, the kitchens I came up in was like, suck it up. Especially like, oh, you're sick. You never called out if you were sick ever. Right. I've been cussed at, screamed at, made to come into work, threatened to be fired. I've worked with the flu. I've worked with bronchitis, right? Like just ridiculous things that now 10, 15 years later, I would tell somebody if they had a sniffle, please stay home. I also don't want your sniffle. Like it is not brain surgery, right? Like we're not saving lives here. It's food, you know?
Yeah.
Like please don't come in if you're sick.
I mean, I've had to work sick too.
It's gross.
I've also had bosses who are like, dude, you got a viral infection. Like, just stay home. You're fine. Like, we'll work it. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
And so I always left everyone prepped as much as humanly possible. But, you know, like while I was leading up to feeling sick, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I have worked sick to where it's like, oh my God, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I've also had friends who are in the industry where they worked in spots where someone calls in sick and they're told like, you know what, take the day off, take tomorrow off, take the following, we'll call you if we need you. Like, you basically don't have a job.
But I think it's more recent than not, right? Like if I think back to my very first experiences in the business, it was an absolute, like, it was a deal breaker. We don't give a crap if you're sick. Get in here. You know, whereas now I think COVID really changed that for everybody. And despite what it did to the industry and the places that never recovered, closed down, that won't recover, I think the culture shifted, you know?
Yeah.
For the better in some ways, right? Like I can tell you that it wasn't just that. The outright discouragement, sexual harassment, teasing, bullying that I've experienced over the course of a long time has virtually become to zero in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It just is not acceptable anymore.
I've seen that too, where like people, like guys are talking, and then other people will speak up and be like, you
Mm-hmm.
can't talk like that. And then you've had other people who are like, man, shut up, like get the hell out of here. And it's changed a lot. Like the industry's changed a lot. You still have some of like the kitchens that are old school and
Yep.
hardcore like that, but everyone operates so differently.
But I think that you find those places that are like hardcore and old school, like you say, they don't keep people as long. They burn through them.
I know a couple places who have gone through a few people, and and it's just one of those things where they talk a big game, and then when it comes down to it, like if someone's sick, it's bro, stay home, get better.
Yeah.
Or if they have something happen, it's like, hey, you take care of your family. You will be here. You go do your thing. But I can remember, like, there was one time I was at a funeral and my phone was just blowing up with all these questions. It's like, hey, I'm trying to mourn the loss of a family member.
Yeah, that's awful.
Like, you need to leave me alone.
That's a line that you don't cross, honestly. I mean, I think there are just some things that are like, they're just sacrosanct that you don't mess with. But I think it used to be a lot worse in this business, and it's gotten a lot better. And I don't know, I don't know exactly what it was that kind of caused those changes. Like, I don't know if it was the few famous chefs who got found out for harassment and it became like really into the mainstream news. Kind of all the dirty laundry got aired, or I don't know if it was necessarily like all the phases of COVID. I'm not sure exactly what was, the kind of the catalyst for the change, but I think it's changed a lot for the better, and places are starting to realize that you have to change the way that you treat people.
Well, yeah, I mean, you take care of people and they'll take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think that a lot of establishments have really gotten their people to not necessarily clean up their act, because people are going to do what they're going to do. But
people are also jerks. You can't fix them sometimes.
It just tastes better when you're happy and you're healthy.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. Well, and I think it has a lot to do with, I mean, I don't think it's as woo-woo as like the energy transference, but it's just the general vibe of the people that are making your food. You know what I mean? Like that stuff's is, it's contagious.
You could,
in a good way.
I mean, I've been to burger joints where you can tell like they're getting the food out to get the food out. It's good. But then you go to other burger joints and they're legitimately happy people who are happy to work with their coworkers, and the food is just out of this world. Like every bite's just
there is like absolutely nothing worse than going out to eat and interacting with a server, a manager, or a bartender who you can tell doesn't want to be there. It ruins the entire experience. So just something as little as like, I want to be here, or I don't mind being here even, or, when the cooks are happy and the dishwashers are happy and the prep cooks are happy, and the SAs are happy and the servers are happy, it all goes to the guest. It all goes to the customer. So it doesn't mean everybody's not going to be happy all the time, which is like the other side of that, So
yeah, true.
Yeah.
I know I've told people like, hey, you need to go get some help. Like you need to clean it up. And I've seen people go through their own struggles, their own things, and their own self-medications and stuff like that. And it's just, it's not conducive, but, eventually they go get help or whatever the case is. And, it turns to like, hey, I'm glad you're doing good now. Like, I'm glad you're in a better spot. I'm happy for you. And then like not only do you see them and they're happier person, but like you taste their food and it just tastes 10 times better.
Yeah. It's just the care that somebody will give to their job, the amount of devotion or attention or the time that's necessary to do the thing correctly changes drastically when you've taken care of the whole person, right? And the other side of that is like, it does nobody any good if you fake a smile either. Like it's a balance. A lot of people come into our jobs in the areas that you and I work is also escapism, right?
Yeah.
some terrible crap could be happening on the outside or in their home life or anything else. And we're like the one place where they get to be happy,
Safe.
but they
Yeah.
still have to acknowledge that something's broken or something's wrong. And our industry has plenty of places to hide and plenty of, things to medicate with should you so want, but also has, like, I think a lot of people that care and want people to be okay because they want to work with people that are okay.
Yeah.
Nobody likes being triggered all day long and being surrounded by triggered people. Like, I think we deserve better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will say though, the only, and it's not a positive, it's not, and it's definitely not a negative, but like I notice when things happen traumatically for me in my life, I have to just drown myself in work. Like I can't take the day off.
Yeah, a lot of people do because they have to keep busy.
Breathe. Yeah. No, you're right. You're definitely right. And it's tough. But at the end of the day, like that's just how I cope. Some people are like, hey, this happened. I got to take the day off. And I've learned because I've been in those same situations, like, you know what? You do what you got to do. You take care of yourself. One of my old sous chefs or executive sous chefs, he told me these four walls are going to be here before you. They're going to be here without you. Like, you're good. Like, you take care of what you got to do. And, you, like I say, you get both sides of humanity of some people really care, some people don't. And maybe it's just like you get them at a bad time, whatever the case is.
I mean, absolutely. You get like every piece of the spectrum, right? You get people who, my job is the thing I have to do to pay the bills. I'm here to get a paycheck. After I get done doing my job, I get to go escape to my home life. And then you get the complete opposite end of that spectrum, which is my home life is terrible and I need to escape into this job. And it is the one thing that I have. And then hopefully you get people that are closer and closer and closer to the center of that spectrum where they go, my job doesn't define me. My home life doesn't define me. Like, I'm my own person and there's some balance in between these two things. Right.
Yeah.
I want to be here and I also don't mind being at home or, I figured all my crap out. Nobody's really figured all their crap out, but it's a process. Yeah. Some people will try and some people don't try,
I remember like in my 20s, like talking to like the guys in their 40s and stuff who've been around for a while. Like, they're like, oh yeah, I got to take care of my kids, this and that. And I always thought to myself, one day I'm going to have kids. One day I'm going to be in this. Look at me now, pushing 40, no kids. And that's fine. But I'm like, man, I was so stupid trying to save up for kids. I could have just been going out and partying. Oh, I'm mad at myself. Not really.
Well, it's no shade. It's no shade to anybody has kids. I both admire you and also glad that I don't have any right now. But I don't know how people do it in our business. I mean, you've got to have two parents that both work, or I don't know. It's wild times out there, y'all. Like it's crazy. I can't imagine. And but this is a really, really hard business. But I've been really blessed to come across people who've helped me when I needed it, or I've been able to help them when they needed it. And whether it's just a word of encouragement or. I even, we don't talk about it a lot on the show, but like I'm a believer and finding those in the industry is few and far between, but it's really also cool when you have somebody you can pray with at work or to know somebody's praying for you at work. And, or you can just have like a deeper discussion besides like weather and sports, if you're into that kind of thing, you know what I mean? So
I think you kind of nice. Someone who's your rock like that, who's willing to pray with you or for you, or just someone who's going to be like, hey man, are you all right? Like, I think that speaks volumes as well, to your own mental health.
Yeah. Just checking in with somebody and saying hi. It does more good than you might ever know, making somebody feel like you matter. You matter.
Most definitely.
You matter, Steven.
Oh, thank you. I know I've had days where like,
say it back.
You matter, Melissa.
Okay,
you
thanks.
Are numero uno.
Anyway, somebody on the freeway told me that today too. Sorry, but go ahead.
Oh, I feel less special now.
Hey.
I've had days where like I've had very rough time at work, and I just want nothing could be right. You put out some food to someone, and like they're like, "Oh my God, this made my day. Thank you so much," and it just makes everything melt away, you know. And that in itself is therapeutic as well, you know?
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of ways to cope with the stress, you know, seeing a professional, having lucking out and having someone thank you for their meal, you know, all sorts of stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's just good.
Looking for those tiny happy moments. I know I shared a text message with Steven yesterday that I got from a former employee, and apparently I influenced them for the better, and I never knew. I never knew why they quit, and I never knew that my leadership made a difference, but it was great and it really made my day. And then, sometimes you get the odd table that doesn't like the food, and you try to make it right for them, and no matter what, it's a battle that you can't win. And then you just go like, okay, well, I'm going to do better tomorrow. But those things used to hit me to my core. Like I'd cry myself all the way to my house. Like I'd have a good car cry, and I can't believe they didn't like my food or what. And you just start to see the bigger picture at some point and go like, okay, like these mistakes don't define me.
Yeah, you just
This is the dark part of like being chefs, and you have to figure out. I think it's really career defining for everybody once you kind of figure out how to not let it consume you. And some people never figure it out.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is really sad. And somebody like Anthony Bourdain, like he struggled with what he struggled with, and he ended up dying of suicide. And my heart goes out to people, and I just know that there's, if any of you out there, whether you're in this business or not, if you're struggling with any of it, there's hotlines, resources, and tools, and people to talk to, right? Like it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to go that direction. And having those feelings isn't wrong, right? Doesn't make you a bad person. Like all of us need support in one way or the other. Our industry is like kind of notorious though for really just kind of eating people alive. So I'm excited to see like where our business goes in the next 10 years and how we get better at like supporting one another.
And I also think a good part of it is just having a good leader, having a good
just somebody who cares enough to check in.
Yeah, a good foundation, someone who's going to keep it together. Like you were just saying a moment ago, you had someone that you made a positive influence in their life without even realizing it.
Yep.
You're just being you, but you're also using all your experiences to positively influence someone else, whether you realize it or not.
And at the very least, it's just an awareness of like, I don't want to be that guy that I used to be. I was a douche. Like,
And I do the same thing where I treat people the way I want to be treated. I try to take care of people that that if they're having a bad experience, whether they're at my work, at my former restaurants, if they're talking trash to me on my social media platforms, it's like, you know what, that's cool. I'm gonna try to take care of you, and if you're gonna be a D-bag about it, that's on you, man. I'm gonna continue to be happy regardless.
Yeah. Most of the time I like to say it's a them problem,
Yeah. But if you can help take care of them, it pays dividends in the end where, you take care of someone, they're going to take care of you. And
absolutely.
Like I said, that's what I do. Like I've used a lot of my life experiences to really turn everything around. And I think I've done fairly well so far. And it gives me a sense of pride whenever I can turn someone's bad experience into a positive one, whether it's the same night or they come back to see me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's not just about making money. I think it goes way further than, it's just changing lives one plate at a time, as hokey as it sounds, right? I think that we got the power to do that. But, well, you're making me feel feelings, and I don't like that. So what are you cooking this week, Steven?
This week I have work, but I will probably make some more content, have some fun. By the way, I've been brining brisket for a couple weeks now. Okay. So come St. Patty's Day, we'll have some corned beef.
Hey.
See how that turns out. I've never done corned beef before.
Love it.
Yeah, believe it or not. And then I'm restoring an old gun that I got from my father, who belonged to my grandfather.
Fun times.
I've found that not woodwork, but just like restoring stuff is cool. It's fun. It's therapeutic.
Yeah. Making old things new again. It's always fun.
Making them nice.
Making them
Because this gun will never be used. I'll be real. This gun will never be used again, probably. But it'll be cool. It'll just sit there on the wall looking good.
Nice.
What about you?
I like a decorative thing. Let's see. So I bought some sirloin steaks today, so I'm going to cube those up, marinate them. They're going to be future salad toppings or taco fillings. And let's see, what do I have going on this week? I've been doing some turkey and pimento cheese sandwiches, but I think I'm going to griddle them. So like smashing Pringles on the inside, real high class over here. But I do have some plans at some point. I'm going to make curry. So little beef and potato, I think, kind of a Japanese style. Maybe some snow peas. Just really been in the mood for Asian, so I think I'm going to make that happen. Yeah, absolutely. Yummy things.
Wow. We appreciate you all listening to this different style of
a very special episode of the Food for ThoughtCast.
But like every now and then you kind of have to talk about these feelings and things like that. It's again how you cope with it, how you deal with it.
Yeah.
There's always positive ways to do it, and I myself have seen it, for the better firsthand, and I've seen it take a turn for the worse in other experiences. Not me personally, but like with other people and whatnot. And we like all of our listeners. We like all y'all, and we like when y'all interact with us. So,
And we just wanted to share a little glimpse into that part of the business and our careers. So, just like I say at the end of every episode, unless you stop listening before the outro finishes playing, in which case you're a terrible person. But be kind to one another and share good food with each other. Until next time, see ya. Bye. That's a wrap for today. Until the next episode of the Food for ThoughtCast, make good food, eat good food, share it, and be kind to one another.
Thanks so much for listening today. You are part of what makes us special, and we are so glad you joined us. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave a review. Just like food, delicious podcasts are better when you share them with others. Come back for seconds wherever podcasts are served, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Food for ThoughtCast.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Food for ThoughtCast or at www.foodforthoughtcast.com, where you can link to all podcast players, or you can send us an email at foodforthoughtcmc@gmail.com.